Hello, welcome to Hennepin County's Employment First Minnesota Training, or E1MN. The E1MN information sessions were designed for and presented to case managers, operated case managers, and contracted case managers in Hennepin County. The information sessions were presented September and October 2021 by Debbie Rocco, LTSS social worker and unit supervisor, and Kate O'Connell, social worker within the DD transition team. Both Debbie and Kate are on the employment leadership team. These trainings were designed to give guidance on the E1MN rollout in Minnesota. Both Debbie and Kate are advocates for persons with disabilities to have opportunities and choice of employment in our community. At the beginning of the training, we asked social workers, what do you believe is the biggest barrier to meaningful employment for the people we serve? They responded, the shortage of qualified service providers and the biases and attitudes of those closest to or supporting the person were the barriers that they saw most. During this training, we will explore these barriers and give guidance to how we can support persons with disabilities who want to be involved in competitive employment. E1MN is part of the Employment First initiative. The Employment First policy states, Employment First means raising the expectations that all working age Minnesotans with disabilities can work, want to work, and can achieve competitive integrative employment. And each person will be offered the opportunity to work and earn a competitive wage before being offered other supports and services. Employment First was initiated in September 2014. E1MN is a state agency partnership advancing Employment First initiatives. The E1MN partnership includes 3 agencies: the Minnesota Department of Human Services, or DHS, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, or DEED, which is VRS and SSB, and the Minnesota Department of Education. These agencies are working together to provide a more seamless transition of supports to individuals who want integrative, competitive employment. The goal of E1MN is to work together to develop a more seamless and timely employment support system. E1MN is a new way of thinking. It is an integrated partnership at the state and local level to deliver better supports to the individuals we serve. The framework of E1MN has 4 phases of employment: the engage phase, the plan phase, the find phase, and the keep phase. Engage, plan, find, and keep is a framework created by E1MN to show how waiver and VRS support services can assist people at different phases on the path to employment. Within Hennepin County, these phases apply to waiver and non-waiver vocational supports. These phases within the E1MN framework can be considered nonlinear, in that persons wanting employment may move within these phases depending on where they are at in their need for employment supports. The first phase is the engage phase. The engage phase focuses on helping people make informed choices about competitive integrative employment. These individuals may not have experience with employment and want to explore the idea of what employment may mean to them. People in the plan phase want competitive integrative employment and are not sure what employment may look like for them or what they want to do. They may have barriers or conditions for employment that they want to discuss, and they may have a little experience in competitive employment. It is during this phase that providers will work with these individuals to develop a resume. They may complete the positive summary profile, and they will discuss potential barriers to employment and what tools individuals have or can develop to achieve success. Individuals in the find phase have specific work goals and want to start looking for a job. VRS is the primary payer for supports in this phase. Providers must have a contract with VRS in order to support this phase with persons who are looking for employment. VRS is the primary payer for finding employment during this phase. After a person has successfully found a job and is stable with their employment, they enter into the keep phase. The keep phase focuses on helping people obtain the supports they need to keep their jobs. During this phase, the waiver or county supports become the primary payer of services. The next two slides show the Engage, Plan, Find, and Keep framework as it relates to student services and adult services. Students enrolled in high school or age 18 to 21 transition program can look to this slide for the Engage, Plan, Find, and Keep payer of supports. The Engage and Plan phases are funded by VRS and the school district working together. The results would be graduating with a person-centered plan for post-secondary education, employment, and independent living. During the Find phase, school work-based learning programs and VRS SSB work-based learning programs provide job search and stability services when a student is looking for a job. The results would be competitive integrative employment. During the Keep phase, the waiver and/or the school districts may provide ongoing supports. If the job is outside of school hours, waiver supports can provide supportive employment for the student. If it is during school hours, the school transition services and/or VRS maintain these employment supports. This next slide shows the Engage, Plan, Find, and Keep framework as it relates to adult services. During the Engage phase, waiver employment services are the primary payer. The exploration at this phase results in discussing informed choice, looking at barriers or concerns the person has about employment, reviewing what other experiences in jobs and life that they've had to add to their employment resume, and discussing the risks and benefits of this choice of employment. This is waiver paid. During the plan phase of adult services, the waiver employment services, the employment goal is to discuss and set goals for finding a job. A resume may be developed and the positive summary profile may be completed to add to the portfolio the person has as they enter into the find phase or job search. The plan phase is paid for by waiver supports. When an individual enters the find phase or the job search, VRS becomes the primary payer of supports. VRS searches or finds a job for that person and provides initial stability supports. The results are a competitive integrative employment. VRS and SSB are the primary payer of supports during the find phase. Once an individual has a job and has stability within that job, the waiver support services are used to maintain an ongoing supportive employment plan. The waiver pays for the keep phase in this framework. Now let's look at the engage and planned phases within the E1MN framework. The engage phase looks at waiver employment exploration services that can help a person make an informed choice about pursuing competitive employment. This service can help people who are unsure about working in competitive integrative employment. They have said yes to a conversation about what employment may look like for them. And they may have been working in non-competitive employment, such as pre-vocational services or mobile work crews. The plan phase has waiver employment development services, helping a person discover their interests, strengths, and prepare for a job search. This service can help people who are interested in pursuing employment, but are not sure what it looks like for them or what they want to do. They may have barriers or conditions of employment they want to discuss. They may have little experience in competitive employment. It is during the plan phase that providers can assist in developing a resume and work on the positive summary profile to update the portfolio the person has as they move into the find phase of employment. There are exceptions for when a case manager or social worker may authorize the waiver services under the find phase. The CBSM gives context and guidance for these exceptions. The guidance for employment service authorizations is linked here. It is also found in the end of the PowerPoint under the resource page. There are 3 exceptions that are noted. The first exception is that VRS and SSB has found the person ineligible for their services, meaning they may not meet an open priority of services categories with VRS and SSB. If the person does not meet this open priority of service categories, they will be placed on a waiting list maintained by VRS and SSB. This must be documented by a letter from VRS stating the ineligible category. The second is that VRS and SSB may have found that the person has exhausted their services with SSB and VRS, but that the person wants to continue their job search. The person will also get a closure letter from VRS and SSB stating the reason for the closure and that they can no longer benefit from SSB or VRS services. The third would be that if a person is receiving employment development services under the old HCPC codes and has a need to extend or add units to their authorization, the case manager can authorize the employment development services find phase without a referral to VRS or SSB to avoid the disruption of a person's services. Again, these must be documented within the case plan. And when a person is residing in an ICF-DD residential program, the use of services for the day is used to fund employment services for the individuals in this setting. Please refer to this link and the manual for instructions on using services during the day to provide employment funding. There are 4 key strategies within the E1MN framework. The first is to plan and improve coordinated services and employment-first approaches. We want to use person-centered tools and practices to create a common language and shared experience. The second is to remove barriers and confusion, making it easier for people to navigate this system. We understand that this will take time, and it will be a continuous commitment and communication within the 3 partnerships. The third is that we want to work with local and culturally specific partners to improve access and equity to all persons with disabilities wanting competitive employment in our communities. We want to expand provider networks and to work to have dual providers. These providers would be contracted under VRS and would have a 245D license to provide seamless structure and funding within the framework. The fourth is we want to support each other and bring out the best our agencies have to offer. We are better when we work together. We are better when we work together to help individuals find competitive employment within our communities. When a person is ready to move from the plan phase to the find phase of employment, a VRS referral is necessary. Each VRS Metro Regional Office has their own referral process. If the individual is still a student, they may already have a VRS counselor assigned, or the school may have an assigned counselor. Please check with your school or the VRS counselor office within that region. If the person does not already have a counselor assigned, or is an adult and was without a VRS counselor, then please go to the link below to find a vocational rehabilitation service office within your area. You will plug in your zip code, plus search, and it will bring up the regional office within your area. The person can then call the regional office and request a referral for a counselor for the E1MN process. Anyone can make a VRS referral. The individual can make the referral, the guardian or parent can make the referral, a teacher can make a referral, the case manager or social worker can make a referral on behalf of the person requesting services. Once the referral is made, the VRS office will send out the application to the individual or the guardian. If the person has a guardian, the guardian must sign the application. The VRS counselor office has 10 days to make contact and to complete an intake. Once that intake is made, the VRS office has 60 days to make a determination of eligibility. In completing the initial application, please submit any medical records, SSI documentation, or school or psychological documents to support the need for this VRS referral. It will help and make a smooth referral to VRS and expedite the process. This slide shows the VRS Office Contacts. North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, North Hennepin, and West Bloomington offices. The phone numbers are listed here for the specific VRS referral lines. Please note that if you are in need of Spanish interpretive services, that the South Minneapolis has all of the Spanish counselors that serve all of the regions. Another benefit of the E1MN initiative is the creation of the waiver liaisons. There is a waiver liaison assigned to each regional office. This SSB VRS liaison can help troubleshoot or problem solve some of the concerns that come up during the referral process, the application process, or the coordination services between the three partners. This slide shows the waiver employment services as they relate to the HCPC codes used on the service authorizations for employment services. This is a quick reference guide that can also be found in the CBSM. It shows here the service, the purpose of the service, and the code used for the service agreement. Please review these service codes and look at the CBSM for further guidance. This link is used to show the RMS worksheet that the providers complete for the day in employment services. The 6790M is completed by the provider in order to bill for the employment services they are providing for the individual. Within the E1MN framework, many things are staying the same. The role and the work of the waiver case manager or social worker is staying the same. The role and work of the VRS and SSB counselor in providing placement services for people who want competitive employment and integrative employment are staying consistent. We are continuing to partner at the local level to coordinate and provide services for persons with disabilities who want competitive employment. Waiver employment services and supports are funded by long-term employment supports. That has not changed. Requirements that providers receiving waiver-funded supports be licensed under 245D and that providers receiving VRS and SSB funding must have a professional technical contract is staying the same. What is new under the Employment First Minnesota framework? Clarification that VRS and SSB are the primary payer of job search services, meaning VRS is the primary payer within the find phase of the framework within the E1MN policy. There is revised guidance on when waiver case managers refer to VRS and SSB or school services for employment services. The planning phase of employment development services authorized and provided separately from job find phase of employment development services. VRS E1 performance-based agreements is also new. There is a new role within VRS and SSB. This is the liaison role for consultation to providers and case management and offers support to when to make a referral to VRS during that plan phase. There is also shared processes, tools, and other resources to support the collaboration across all stakeholders on the disabilityhub.org website in the Work Toolkit. Within the E1MN initiative, we want to remember the person-centered values. Many people play a role in supporting someone on their path to competitive employment. The person may rely on other team members to explain services, help in the processes, have opinions, but in the end, the person drives the employment plan and supports. This is person-centered planning. Here are a few takeaways and next steps. First, E1MN is a framework comprised of 4 phases: the engage, plan, find, and keep phases. During the find phase, VRS is the primary payer of employment supports. We also want to collaborate with VRS to support individuals seeking and maintaining employment. We continue to collaborate with VRS with meetings and communications on at least a monthly basis. We want to encourage people to use the hub as a guide for refresher trainings and guide for new employment tools. There will be ongoing information sessions as needed. Please continue to ask questions and voice concerns. Kate O'Connell is the Hennepin County Liaison, and my email can be found in this PowerPoint. The next 2 slides are links to stories and articles that were in the Star Tribune over the summer. The first is an article about Minnesota phasing out unequal paying jobs for people with disabilities, and it points out the different opinions that were found in the editorials after the article was published. Some stating that they wanted to keep minimum wage as an option for their family members and friends. Others were saying that all individuals, no matter their disabilities or their support needs, need to explore livable wages in employment. They wanted to promote customized jobs and create inclusive workplaces. So we still have ongoing discussions and different opinions in our community and within our colleagues and within our teams about the importance of employment. Let's continue to have those discussions. Another story in the Star Tribune this summer was about a young man with Down syndrome who had aspirations and dreams of being a stock car racer. He was a family of stock car racer and inspired to join the family business. Read this to find a fun and meaningful story about goals, support, and community involvement. And finally, to wrap up this presentation, here are the links and resources that we talked about throughout the PowerPoint. The first one is the Hub resources, the Disability Hub Minnesota, and the homepage, but it also breaks down the frequently asked questions and the toolkit for the E1MN partnership and initiative. It also has a link to the My Positive Summary form that providers can use when they're in the plan phase and going into the find phase for employment. It's a great thing to add to the individual's portfolio. There's a link to the CBSM manual. There's a link to the waiver support employment services and codes. There's a link to how to find providers who are duly enrolled in the 245D license and VRS contracts. That's an important link and important to find when we are looking at making this a seamless transition between phases for individuals looking for employment. There's also the DSD training archives, the VRS field staff directory to find the VRS counselor within your region, and of course the VRS SSB liaison waiver contact list. Here are some training resources and videos. These also can be found on the Disability Hub site under the E1MN Toolkit and Training Resources. Thank you for listening to this video. If you have any questions, please contact your case manager, the front door at 612-348-4111, and or myself, Kate O'Connell, at kate.o'connell@hennepin.us. Thank you.